This is a short video to teach you guys how to use Excel to solve a set of equations. And this can be used to solve one equation, two equation, or even many, even 100 or even thousands of equations. And then first, let's solve a single equation using Excel. And then here we have a fourth power single unknown x equation. And of course, for this type of equation, if you have a very fancy calculator, you may be able to solve it use your calculator. But here we use this as an example to learn how to use solver in Excel first, and then we will expand it to solve many equations. Um, Here the equation is x4 power plus 2 cubic power and minus square of x and then plus x equals to 10. I will switch to the Excel. All right, here I typed the text or the formula of the equation. It tells us the function of x will look like this. And then in order to solve for x, you need to set a value or a cell where the x is placed. So I highlighted here as a blue cell where I will use this cell to store the value of x. It can be 1, 2, 3, or 0, whatever number it is, but right now it's empty. An empty cell in Excel will be treated as 0. And now we need to define this equation. The equation we know is this, but however, we need to define the equation value based on the value of x. So here we need to use the equal sign equals to the fourth power of x. So x is here, and then it will go to the fourth power, and then plus 2 times the x is again is this cell C7 cell to the cubic power, and then minus the square of x. Again, it is a blue cell to the square, and then plus the x again, it is C7 cell. And then if you click enter, this will calculate based on the formula that you put here. Remember, the formula that you put here has to be very careful to be correct or to be exactly same as what you intended to have. All right. Sometimes when the formula or sometimes when the equation gets more complicated, it can be easily to make mistake here. And here I labeled the value of the function as a red color cell. So x equal to 0 right now, it's empty, it's 0. So if you put x equal to 0 into the formula, then the function is also 0. But that doesn't matter. When the x is changes, so for example, if x changes to 1, then this formula will automatically change to 3. And if you have 10, that will be 10,000, 11,000, things like that. But here, what we need to learn is to use a solver under the tool, and you go to solver here. The solver will allow you to solve a bunch of unknowns in order to meet your requirement or to set your object to satisfy your requirement. So right now, our object cell is this target cell, the red color C10, and we want it to equal to 10. And then sometimes if you don't have a set value, you want to have a minimize this cell or maximize this cell, you can also do that if your function has a minimum or maximum. But right now here, we set it as a 10. That's our goal. And then in order to achieve that by changing, the way that you achieve that is by changing the x value. So as you can see, what this solver is going to do is by changing this blue cell value until the red cell value reaches 10. Sometimes it can reach exactly 10, or sometimes it will approach very, very close to 10 if there is a solution. So let's see how, and I just click solve. And then the Excel will change the blue value until the red color cell reached. As you can see, the solver found a solution, all the constraints optimized is satisfied. So now you need to click OK. So it will save the solved solution. So the X solution is 1.455. And at that time, the function value is 9.988. And then this is pretty close to 10 already. I think it's pretty good. But if you are really, really meticulously strict, you want to make even better, you can even try to solve again. But the value of x will be pretty much same anyway. So if you click solve again, it will change slightly. As you can see, it is also 1.5455. Maybe some digits far away later it was changed. But now this value becomes even closer to 10. All right. So this is the use of solver. But however, the solver function in Excel can only target one cell. That's only one red cell you can uh, target for. We have to think about some way to use this solver to solve multiple functions because we need to set the goal into one single cell. Now we switch back to the PowerPoint. So now let's look at a set of two equations here. X plus y equals to 10, and then the x to the cubic power minus the y cubic power equals to 300. And then as I explained already in Excel, you can only target for one value. Mm, What we're gonna do is we're gonna rewrite these two equations to uh, take the difference between the left-hand side of the equation minus the right-hand side of the equation. And then that is the same for both functions. And now if we want to make both function equal to 0, so we call f1 equals to the x plus y minus 10, and f2 equals to the cubic power difference minus 300. And then if the summation of the square equal to 0, the only possibility is all these functions equal to 0, right? So as you can see, using this way, however many function you have, as long as you take summation of all the square of the functions, you force the summation goes to 0, then you automatically solve all these functions simultaneously. All right, so now we switch back to the Excel. I still highlight the unknowns as the blue color cell, and then we will have a target cell as a red color cell. And we know we're gonna do calculate the left-hand side and right-hand side of each equation, and then take the difference between the two sides, and then take the square, and then we're gonna take the summation of the squares, right? And then however many equations you have, you can summation. You can take summation of all of them. But right now we only have two equations. So the first equation is x plus y equals to 10, and then the second equation will be the cubic x minus the cubic y equals to 300, and then we're gonna solve these. So here, the left-hand side of the first equation is x plus y. So the x is this cell, y is this cell. So, um, and then the second equation will be x, the cubic, minus the y, the cubic. And then be careful. Again, you need to be careful when you type these calculations. Once you make mistake here, you will not be able to solve the equation correctly. And then the right-hand side is 10, and this is 300. And then the difference from the left to the right. And then that's basically the first cell C10 minus D10. And you can drag it if you want. That will automatically become C11 minus D11. Or otherwise, you can type C11 minus D11. But I always use drag. If your first cell is correct, and then you can drag many, many cells without typing anything. And then this will be the square of this difference. So I have the F10, that is a difference, and then take a square. And then you can drag it. The second one will automatically be F11 square. And now the summation of these squares will be that. So if I have only two cells to take summation, I typed H10 plus H11. If you have 100 of cells to take summation, then it's almost impossible for you to type every one of them. You actually can use the function of the sum of a range of the cell. And right now you only have two cells, so you can have a cell. But if you have hundreds of cells, for example, if you want to summarize, take summation of all these cells, then you can say sum, and then you can say, okay, all these cells. That will give you the summation of the entire region for that. Mhm. And now we need to solve the x and y to achieve the summation equal to 0. So let's do that. Solve it. So the target cell is this cell. And then the variable cells actually are these two blue cells. I still don't put any constraints here, but if you do have some constraints, if you want to make sure x is a positive number, you can add a constraint saying the x is this cell C7 is positive, then you can say it's greater or equal to 0, and you click OK. Then it will show up here, okay? But right now, I don't put any constraint here. Although for the chemical engineering calculation, most of the things that we are calculating are always positive. Concentration, moles, pressure, temperature are all positive. Well, the temperature is in Kelvin, then it's all absolute temperature is always positive. And then I just click solve. And then the Excel will change the two blue cells until the red cell reaches something close to 0. As you can see, the red cell is actually become smaller and smaller as the Excel is doing the work. Okay, it says you found the solution, found the solution. As you can see right now, the first equation, x plus y equals to 10.3, and then the cubic difference is 299.9. As you can see, the second equation is pretty good, but the first equation is 10.3. It depends on your criteria. If you think it's not good enough, you can solve it again. Otherwise, you can just accept it as the final solution. And I'm gonna try to solve again to see if it can improve a little bit. 10.29 right now to see if it can get closer to 10. Yeah. So now actually it gets much better. The first equation 9.99, and then the second equation is 300. So this will be a final answer for the xy. Now, here's your homework. Not a official homework, but this is your practice. Use Excel to solve two problems. The first problem is to solve a single equation with a single variable x, and then find a positive real solution. Um, you can put a constraint to say it is positive to see if it finds a solution or not. And then the second problem is solve a set of five equations for five unknowns, A, B, C, D, E. And then you need to put in these equations carefully. Don't make mistake when you formulate these equations in the Excel. And then please bring the answers with you to the class, and I will use a point solution, ask you to punch in the answers.